Cobra Kai Nation, a nation of snakes!
Cobra Kai fans, welcome to the trailer breakdown for Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2. Without further ado, let's get straight into the breakdown. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and here we go.
Welcome to Barcelona, bitch.
So at the start of the Part 2 trailer, we see a plane landing in Barcelona, which was literally the same shot of the end of episode 5 in part 1. Shows the Miyagi-Dos and all the other students from the dojos entering the Sekai Taikai. We see an early glimpse of all the dojos, all the students and competitors ready as Gunther announces the start of the Sekai Taikai. The Miyagi-Dos are getting locked in. There's some really interesting leadership here by Miguel, which I'm sure he's going to play a big part with that, as well as Robbie being the main male captain. Shout out to Juliana Ramos, who's playing Maria Alvarez from Furia de Pantera, the Spanish dojo in Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 at the Sekai Taikai. She's having a fight here with Mary Mouse's Sam LaRusso. It's definitely going to be intense. Yoon and Kwon have a fight. We see the senseis of Miyagi-Do and Devon cheering their team on. Quick cut of Hawk fighting Yoon, and then he gets thrown into the Miyagi-Dos. That's probably when they're losing. There's some really badass moves here, and you can see the Miyagi-Dos are also struggling. Really curious how it's going to go for them on the early stages, because they don't know what to expect. Can see Tori is struggling here as well. And welcome to Barcelona. A great line from Reina Vallandigham's Zara Malik, which is making her acting debut in Cobra Kai. And it's very cool to see how she is already this cocky personality and how she is very competitive and definitely feels like an amped up, more advanced version of Tori. And the way she blows kisses really shows she's got that confidence and swagger, which I love. These guys have the egos. We're in the world tournament, and it's really important that they establish that. More cuts to Barcelona and also the Miyagi-Dos in the hotel. There's definitely a sense of struggle, and the characters really need to support each other, because it doesn't look like Miyagi-Do are going to do well from the start. And they know how much these other dojos are going to be big threats as well. As Daniel says in the trailer, it's not just Cobra Kai we have to worry about. We get a really nice glimpse of Reina Vallandigham, Zara Malik, and Patrick Lewis's Axel Kovacevic. He looks like an absolute beast. He is literally the same height as Thomas Ian Griffith, who plays Terry Silver. He really is the Ivan Drago of Cobra Kai. And I just can't get over how these guys are going to be some of the biggest rivals for the Miyagi-Dos and Cobra Kai in this tournament. They have a lot to worry about. And when Axel comes across the Miyagi-Dos, I'm worried about those lads. And with Zara, with Sam and Tori. It's really cool to see Reina's involved in this season, as she's a 13-time Taekwondo champion, 4th degree black belt. Certainly a badass, and she knows the way of the fist for sure. There's some drama going on, as there always is in Cobra Kai, with the students being lined up. None of them are wearing their uniforms. Looks like they're all being called out for something. Perhaps something happened outside of the tournament and there's some sanctions. This could even be the beef between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. I'm expecting some external fights to happen. Tori and Sam are going to face each other once again at the tournament, but hopefully it's not going to be all bad blood, as Sam and Tori's relationship in part 1 was growing as a friendship, and hopefully they don't want to come across each other in the same way as they were previously in other seasons with the issues they both had with each other. We see more footage from the scene at the bar with Tori and Kwon. Kwon's getting a bit too comfortable with Tori, and I do believe he's doing this just to annoy Robbie. I don't think Tori's gonna cheat on Robbie, but I think Kwon wants Robbie to think that. And obviously Robbie is gonna be really annoyed about that, as he is so devastated seeing Tori back in Cobra Kai. His reaction from part 1's ending says it all. This shot with the Miyagi-Dos and Cobra Kai having a fight within this octagon is very interesting. It looks like Robbie and Tori fight each other as part of this team contest, and I think it's definitely going to be an interesting one, as there's mixed fights here with boys and girls fighting each other, and Tori kicks Robbie, but he has a block. So I'm very curious what's going on here, because Tori looks quite angry at Robbie, so there could be something else we don't know. Miyagi-Do are doing very bad bad early on for the tournament. You can see they are 11th on the scoreboard and they are 16 dojos, so that is very bad for them, and I'm assuming this is early into the tournament, otherwise they would have been eliminated by now. Miguel has a very tense moment with Robbie. Sounds like Robbie's not pulling his weight as the male captain of the Miyagi-Dos, and it looks like he's holding Robbie accountable. I'm assuming this is because of what's happening with Tori, and I think it's really important they establish that Miguel is going to push Robbie as he's not the captain and he's the only other male counterpart in the Miyagi dojo that can actually help Robbie lock in. And now they're stepbrothers, I think they're going to support each other more than ever. Even though it can be tense, I definitely think they're going to help each other, and Miguel will definitely push Robbie so he gets locked in. And this scene with Quan says, "You want some? Come get it." Very chosen, and I think it's the exact same scene here where Robbie is about to face Quan, and this is probably another fight because they're probably going to have more than one. I'm very worried for Robbie in this fight. You can see Axel, the new character Axel, the Ivan Drago of Cobra Kai, punches Robbie and he spits out a lot of blood. That feels very Rocky to me and very Bloodsport. It's worrying because the Sekai Taikai is going to be brutal. It's going to bruise these students. It's going to hurt these students. And the rivals they come across are going to be showing no mercy. And you can tell Axel is definitely doing that. And very worried for Robbie because he is going to make sure that he does his best, but at what cost could that be? Hopefully Robbie survives this fight because Axel to me is this Ivan Drago type fighter, and we know that he's already looking to be a very deadly foe. I really hope Robbie wins this fight. The fight in particular, Kreese mentions, is about what the Miyagi-Dos could lose. Obviously, there's so many tied moments with Miyagi's past that Daniel still needs to figure out, and there's a lot for him to lose there. And at the same time, a quick cut to Miguel and Johnny hugging and seem to be crying together. This is very sad because this could be something to do with Carmen. It could be something to do with Yaya. If even one of them was to die, that might be why they are at the hospital. Could even be something else. But the fact is, if they are leaving Barcelona to rush to the hospital, it can only be for one of their family members, because why else would they be there? It's hard to say this is a hospital, but I would assume it is. If you look at this shot next to Miguel, it looks like a hospital hallway, and that would make a lot of sense. And the fact there's so much raw emotion here, it's definitely going to be a tough one. Louis Tan as Sensei Wolf in this shot, some dialogue with him talking about Americans, and you can see a little bit more of Axel here. Sensei Wolf and Axel are definitely going to be a very interesting duo, and one of the new intimidating duos that we'll see in the Sekai Taikai. I think this shot here when Sensei Wolf is abusing Axel is actually very interesting because Sam is seen on the beach with Axel in that footage we saw back in March, and I think perhaps Sam is not judging Axel. So Sam bumps into Axel, maybe even confronts him about what she saw because she's the only person that's seen this. No one else has. There's a platform for the elimination fight. Well, for one of them in particular, all the students are lined up watching as there's 2v2s. I'm very curious how this system will work. Is it just 2 students from each dojo that have to compete, and whoever gets knocked out, whoever is last standing wins? Or is it simply all the students are involved? It'd be very interesting how they'd go about that. But I love this idea with the platform. Very interesting what they're doing here, and I love these different style of team contests. There's a shot of Reina kicking this West End Warrior student, which we saw on the inside the dojo look. Barcelona, as Sensei Wolf puts it, but Johnny assumes he's being stupid. Now this scene is interesting because they've got these Sekai Taikai badges around their necks, and I'm curious if this is where sponsors for the Sekai Taikai will be. As remember in season 5, Hawk said there's loads of sponsors and other opportunities at the tournament, and Devin also said this in the dojo to Tori, that this tournament could really change their life and they could have college paid off for them with their tournament participation. Robbie and the Miyagi-Dos definitely have trouble here in this shot. Miguel wants to walk off. Perhaps this is early when Miyagi-Do are struggling and it looks like Miguel is fed up. Perhaps it's not just Robbie not pulling his weight at team captain, it's the other Miyagi-Do Miyagi-Do's. Could even be that Miguel is doing a lot of the good work and really helping Miyagi-Do, but he doesn't feel like the team is pulling their weight. It's going to be tense for sure. Tori's loyalties with going back to Cobra Kai and Kreese are also going to be a big test for her. And Sensei Kim doesn't like Tori from what we remember in season 5. So how is she going to treat Tori in this as well? Going to be interesting to see how they go about that. I love the montage of Johnny, Robbie, and Sam training here. Team captains of Miyagi-Do having this train together is cool. And with Daniel. And obviously Johnny and Miguel are in this sequence as well. So it's really cool seeing the montage they have here. And I love this scenery with the Sekai Taikai. It does feel like the Warriors. And I know Abe Martinez, the cameraman for Cobra Kai Season 6, said there's some very subtle nods to the Warriors. I love that attention to detail with this shot. I love the bomber jackets for the Korean Cobra Kai students and Kreese. Frank Helmer, the costume designer, actually showed me the full jacket when we did our interview. I still haven't posted that, but he did show me the real thing, and it looks amazing. Now, interesting is Daniel's wearing the same clothes as he grabs Kreese in this shot, which he was wearing in that still they released not long ago. Perhaps Kreese tries to hurt Daniel or tricks him into something, and he catches up to Kreese. Because why else would Daniel do this? There was a fight outside of the tournament where one of the Miyagi-Dos got hurt. This could be one of the fights with Miyagi-Dos and Cobra Kais, and perhaps Kwon and Yoon hurt one of them, and Daniel's infuriated. Daniel would never be this angry though, unless it's something done to him in an extreme way, or if it's one of his family members. Robbie does a kip up here, which is a very badass move you see martial arts do, and it requires a lot of balance and a lot of technique. Very much Robbie Lawrence here, as Johnny does a kip up in the All Valiant 84, and William Zabka actually said he does a kip up in season 6. He said this before part 1 had released in press junket interviews. So very curious what he's talking about, and is he going to do that in a tournament setting, or is he going to do that in just a normal fight? No matter what, that's going to be badass. But I love how locked in Robbie looks here. So badass. I love it. This might be when he gets his focus, and this is the fight he has with Kwon, and I think this is a fight that he will win, because when Robbie is this focused, nothing is stopping him. Kwon looks quite shocked and very frustrated, because he probably realizes Robbie is this badass and probably underestimated him. He knows Robbie is someone he shouldn't have. We see Miguel is fighting one of the Korean Cobra Kais in the elimination second round, which is Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. Perhaps both dojos are struggling, so it's interesting to see how they go about that. And Robbie and Kwon, they both leap and jump, and they're both going for a kick. And who's gonna land it? That is gonna be a crazy conclusion, and very exciting to see how they go about that. I can't wait for these guys to fight. There's so much tension. Tanner is a badass at martial arts. He really takes his martial arts seriously and his training. And of course, Brandon H. Lee being a 4th or 5th Dan in Taekwondo, of course being a regional champion as well, and also just being an absolute badass, also being in this scene. I just cannot wait. Miyagi-Dos really help each other get through this. Looks like Johnny really gets a good pep talk for them as Robbie's smiling here, and it looks like the Miyagi-Dos are finally finding their stride at this point. There's also an earlier fight with Sam and Hawk. You can see Robbie there as well, and I'm assuming he's also fighting Kwon in this. This could be one of the early fights that they show us. Cuts to another fight with Sam fighting the Korean Cobra Kais, but who is she with in this scene? She can't be on her own fighting the Cobras, because that would be really messed up, unless this is the reason why Daniel confronts Kreese and pushes him to the wall. But this person next to Sam might actually be Axel, because Mary is wearing the same clothes she wore in that scene in Barcelona on the beach. And I think this is part of that sequence, or at least that episode. Maybe Axel has a moment with Sam, Kwon and the Korean Cobra Kai see them, and then obviously a fight breaks out. There's so many badass moves. I absolutely love this little part of the trailer. Tanner going for a sweep. This Brazilian student does some sort of capoeira move, and Kenny is in Miyagi-Do. He goes to Barcelona. He's there for the Sekai Taikai to help them. And I love how Dimitri kneels down and Kenny rolls on his back. As Dimitri actually kneeled down and let Hawk jump on his back as he delivers a flying knee to those frat guys in part 1. I really find that hilarious how Dimitri assists his friends in this way. This is also part of the second elimination round with Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai fighting, and multiple fighters are involved in this. So I think the idea of this round in this octagon layout of the mat is that they tag each other because there's so many fights happening within this round, so that would only make sense. More of Daniel in Barcelona. Very curious why he's here, and it looks very shady where he is. Maybe he sees someone above on a balcony, or perhaps he's curious where he is. Tori delivers a very badass kick to this student, and I actually think she knocks out the teeth of this opponent, and they show this on the TV back at the Russos with all the Miyagi-Dos that weren't there. I'm very sure they would be more shocked if this was something else. I don't know if they're reacting to Tori, because I don't think you would react that much to something like that. Something else is going on. My theory is that it's the dojo brawl that I've been predicting for a while, and the fact Amanda is so in shock here, I think is insinuating that. Anthony looks to his mum and definitely looks very surprised. I love Robbie here looking like an absolute badass. He probably wins this round for Miyagi-Do because this looks like a celebration if anything, and I really hope this is his moment to shine and prove that he is the captain for this reason, because he is locked in. Also, the biggest shock is seeing Ung Jang-do, the knife that Master Kim gave to Kreese, is in this scene. And who's holding it? Well, that looks like Kwon is about to use this knife. I don't think this would be in a regulated fight, because look at the way he spins it and holds it in this way. It looks like he's trying to harm someone. Perhaps this is after the fight with Robbie, and what if he tries to hurt Robbie? That would be absolutely insane. It really worries me if Kwon is willing to go to this extent to kill somebody. This goes back to his lesson that Kreese taught him to be heartless, but he is taking this way too seriously. Something big must have happened to really annoy him, and I would not be surprised if Robbie beats him. He tries to get revenge on Robbie, but this could be part of the dojo brawl as well. But why would the knife be there? And if Kreese even gives him the knife, that's even more messed up. But anyway, that is the breakdown. There's so much to decipher. There's probably a few things I might have missed. If there's anything you noticed that I didn't, let me know in the comments. I'll have to do the other video separate, as 11 new images dropped and we have to talk about all of them because there's so much there. It'll be very interesting to see what those images tell us as well. And it's not long now till part 2 comes out in November on the 15th. We are 23 days away from Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos on Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 and Part 3. I will see you in the next video.
Cobra Kai Nation, a nation of snakes coming together to snake each other. You're gonna snake, snake, snake with the Cobra Kai Nation. Nations join, nations divide, but snakes are forever. Cobra Kai Nation.